Welcome back to Story for Night Sleep. Before we begin, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Now get comfortable, relax your body, and let's begin. Story 1. You don't remember choosing to go inside. Later, that detail bothers you more than anything else. At the time, it feels normal. A huge building at the edge of the city. Bright colors. Big parking lot. Automatic doors sliding open like they always do. You walk in already thinking about something else. Inside smells like clean wood and fabric. Rows of furniture stretch out in every direction. Sofas, tables, lamps, fake rooms built to look like real homes. You grab a cart without thinking and start walking. Everything feels familiar. Too familiar. You walk for a while. Time slips by quietly. You pass kitchens, bedrooms, offices. You tell yourself big stores are always confusing. That's normal. Then you look up. The ceiling hasn't changed. The lights are the same long white strips, humming softly. No windows, no skylights, no signs pointing to exits anymore. You turn around to go back. The entrance is gone, not blocked, not hidden. Gone. In its place are more aisles, more furniture, more rooms that look lived in but empty. Your chest tightens. You walk faster. You pick a direction and stick to it. You tell yourself you'll hit a wall or an exit eventually. Buildings end. They have to. You pass a red couch. You keep walking. You pass the same red couch again. This time, you stop. You touch it. Same fabric. Same small tear in the corner. You didn't turn around. That's when you hear footsteps. Slow, careful. Human, you freeze. The footsteps stop. You move again. They move again. You call out. Your voice doesn't echo. It just disappears into the shelves and walls, like the building swallowed it. A man steps into view. He looks tired. Not hurt. Not panicked. Just worn down in a way that makes your stomach sink. His clothes are dirty. His beard is uneven. His eyes look like they've seen the same thing too many times. "How long have you been in?" he asks. You laugh nervously and say, "You just got lost." He doesn't smile. He tells you this place is bigger on the inside. He says people call it the store. He says there is no exit. You don't believe him at first. You can't. That idea feels too large to fit in your head. You tell him you'll just keep walking until you find a door. He lets you try. You walk together for hours. Or maybe days. Time feels wrong here. Your phone still works, but the clock doesn't help. The signal never drops, but no one answers your calls. Eventually you see lights ahead that don't look like store lights. Warm lights. Yellow. Soft people. A small settlement built from shelves and tables and beds pushed together. Extension cords snake across the floor. Someone has written signs on cardboard. Rules. Schedules. Warnings. They welcome you carefully. They tell you not to wander alone. They tell you not to break things for no reason. They tell you never to stay out when the lights change. You ask what they mean. They tell you the store closes. At night. The lights dim. The air changes. And the workers come out. You see one for the first time by accident. It looks human at a distance. Tall, wearing a uniform that almost makes sense, but its face is wrong. Too smooth. Its smile too wide. It moves stiffly, like it's pretending to understand how joints work. Someone pulls you back into the settlement just in time. They whisper that the workers don't like disorder. They whisper that the workers don't like questions. They whisper that people who wander at night don't come back. That night, as you lie on a bed made from display mattresses, you hear shouting far away, then furniture breaking. Then silence. You realize the store isn't trying to kill you. It's trying to keep you. You wake up to light, not sunlight. The same white ceiling lights buzzing softly above you. For a moment you forget where you are. Then the smell of fabric and plastic settles in your nose, and the memory drops back into place. The store, people around you are already moving. Quietly, carefully. Like everyone has agreed that loud sounds cost something, even if no one says what. A woman hands you a cup of water poured from a display pitcher. It tastes slightly off, like it's been sitting too long, but you drink it anyway. She tells you they recycle everything here. Wood from broken shelves becomes walls. Mattresses become floors. Carts become fences. Nothing is wasted, because no one knows how long they'll need it. Someone gives you a tour. They walk you through narrow paths between stacked furniture. Bedrooms built inside living rooms. Kitchens without food, just storage and workspaces. Lamps plugged into extension cords that snake away into darkness. The settlement feels fragile, like it's one bad decision away from falling apart. You notice rules written on cardboard and taped to walls. Don't wander alone. Don't break things unless necessary. Always return before the lights change. If you hear shouting at night, don't answer. You ask what happens when the lights change. No one answers right away. Eventually, someone says the store closes. You don't like the way they say it. Time here is strange. People measure days by light cycles, not clocks. The lights stay bright for long stretches, then dim slowly, like someone lowering a dial. That's when everyone rushes back. You watch it happen once. The light doesn't turn off completely. It becomes softer, yellowed. Corners stretch deeper into shadow. The store feels larger at night, like the dark adds distance. That's when you hear them. Footsteps that echo wrong. Voices that don't quite understand words. Someone points down a long aisle. Something walks between shelves. It wears a uniform that looks like it belongs in the store. Blue shirt. Name tag. The shape is almost human. Almost. Its head tilts too far when it looks around. Its arms swing stiffly, like they're remembering how arms work. Its smile doesn't change, no matter what it sees. The workers, you're told never to approach them, never speak to them, never move furniture while they're nearby. The workers like things the way they are. That night, you hear screaming far away. Someone ran too late. Someone thought they could make it back. No one goes to help. Morning comes without warning. The lights brighten. The store feels smaller again, safer in a way that makes your skin crawl. You notice something else. The workers are gone. No bodies, no signs of a fight. Just broken furniture and dark stains that no one cleans. You're given a job on your second day. Everyone works. Some people gather materials. Some organize. Some stand watch near wide aisles and intersections. Watchers don't look for exits. They look for movement. You're sent with a group to collect chairs from a far section. You walk for a long time, passing areas you've never seen before. The store keeps unfolding, room after room, repeating itself with small differences. It feels endless. You start to understand how people get lost. On the way back, you see another settlement, smaller, quieter. People there look thinner, meaner, more desperate. They don't wave. Your guide tells you not all groups survive. Some fight over territory. Some anger the workers. Some forget the rules. You ask if anyone has ever escaped. The guide pauses. They say people find exits sometimes. They say those exits don't stay. They say no one who left ever came back to confirm it. That night, you dream of doors. You wake up feeling like you've forgotten something important. Something outside. The longer you stay, the harder it is to remember why leaving matters. You catch yourself thinking about improvements, stronger walls, better lighting, a more permanent structure. The thought scares you more than the workers, because the store doesn't trap you with force. It traps you by giving you reasons to stay. You learn what happens when rules are broken. Not from a meeting, not from a warning. You learn by watching someone disappear. It happens during a supply run. A man named Carter insists on rearranging shelves to reach something heavy. He says it's fine. Says the workers are far away. Says he's done this before. The shelf tips. It crashes loud enough to echo through multiple aisles. Everyone freezes. You feel it before you see it. A change in the air. Like the store noticed, footsteps begin, not running, not rushing, approaching. Carter laughs nervously at first. He tries to set the shelf back, but it's already wrong. Too crooked, too late. A worker appears at the end of the aisle, then another, then another. They move together, smooth and stiff at the same time. Their faces are calm, smiling. Blank, Carter backs away. He starts apologizing, even though no one told him to. One worker raises a hand. The fingers bend the wrong way when it gestures toward the shelf. The worker makes a sound. It isn't a word. It's like a broken attempt at one. Carter screams. They take him, not fast, not violent at first. They grab his arms and pull him down the aisle, shoes scraping against the floor. He kicks. He begs. He calls names of people who aren't there. The workers ignore all of it. You never see blood. But you hear things later, sounds from deep inside the store that don't belong to anything alive. That night, no one speaks. After that, rules stop feeling optional. You start noticing things you missed before. Some workers stand still for hours, facing shelves like they're inspecting them. Some walk patterns that repeat perfectly, step for step, every light cycle. Others behave differently. Some stop and stare at people. Not everyone, just certain ones. You notice a man in your settlement who lingers near the edges. He stands too straight. He doesn't sleep much. When he talks, his sentences feel copied, like he learned them from listening instead of thinking. One night, you wake up and see him standing near the wall, smiling. He says the settlement needs to be more orderly. He says the workers notice things. He says helping them might keep everyone safe. The next morning, he's gone. A worker stands where he used to sleep, same height, same posture. The name tag is new. People whisper about it afterward. They say the store replaces what it loses. They say some people don't get taken, they get changed. Days pass, or weeks. It's hard to tell. You join watch duty more often. You learn to spot danger before it arrives. Shelves that feel too quiet. Aisles where sound doesn't echo right. Workers standing where they weren't before. One night you hear knocking. Soft, polite. Someone whispers your name. You recognize the voice. It belongs to a woman who disappeared last cycle. She says she's hurt. She says the workers let her go. She says she just needs help getting back. You don't answer. No one does. The knocking turns to scratching, then stops. In the morning, there are marks on the wall where fingers drag down slowly. The settlement leader gathers everyone. They talk about moving. The workers are getting closer. The paths feel watched. Too many near misses. Packing happens fast. You help dismantle walls. You help build. You feel a strange sadness doing it, like tearing down a home you weren't supposed to love. When you leave, you walk past aisles you've never explored. The store stretches endlessly, offering furniture you don't need and exits you don't trust. You pass a group of workers standing in a circle. Inside the circle is a person kneeling. You don't stop. You don't look closely. You keep walking, because you understand now. Survival here isn't about escaping. It's about staying unnoticed. And every day that gets harder. Time stops behaving the way it should. At first, it's small things. You forget what day it is. Then you forget how many light cycles have passed since you arrived. Then you realize you no longer remember the exact date you entered the store. You remember that you came in for something simple, but you can't remember what it was. People stop counting days altogether. They count losses instead. Who disappeared? Who moved on? Who started acting strange? You meet someone who claims to have been here for decades. They don't look old. They look worn. Their voice sounds like it's been used too much. They tell you the store doesn't age people normally. It stretches them, smooths them out, keeps them useful. You ask how long they've been here. They say they don't know. They say knowing stopped helping a long time ago. Settlements grow larger now, more organized. Some look like real towns. They have streets made from rugs, signs made from cardboard, roles assigned to everyone. Some even have leaders who enforce rules harsher than the workers ever did. You visit one settlement that has electricity everywhere, bright, constant, no dark corners. People there smile too much. They tell you they never see workers anymore. That night, you see one standing behind a counter, ringing nothing through a register. No one reacts. You notice people here talk less about leaving. They talk about improving, better defenses, better food systems, stronger walls. Someone shows you a child who was born inside the store. The child has never seen the sky. The idea makes your chest tighten. You start losing memories, not all at once. Faces fade first. Names follow, then places blur. You know you had a life before this, but it feels like something you were told about, not something you lived. You try to hold on to small things, the sound of rain, the feeling of grass, the smell of food cooked at home. They slip through your fingers. You begin to notice the store responding. When people settle in too deeply, new shelves appear, new furniture, new supplies, enough to keep them going, enough to keep them from leaving. You hear rumors of a place deep inside where the store folds in on itself. A section where aisles repeat perfectly, and people who walk too long come back wearing uniforms. No one who goes looking returns the same. One night, the lights dim slowly, like the store is thinking, the workers don't rush this time. They walk calmly through settlements, inspecting, touching walls. Straightening furniture, one pauses near you. It looks directly at your face. Up close, you see details you wish you hadn't. The skin isn't skin. It's something layered, reused. The eyes reflect light wrong. It smiles wider. It nods, as if approving. Then it moves on. You realize something terrifying. The store isn't random. It's selective. It keeps people who adapt. It removes people who resist. You start to feel tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. You catch yourself correcting crooked chairs. You stop yourself, shaking. But the thought keeps coming back. Would it really hurt to help? By morning, someone has disappeared again. No struggle, no sound, just an empty space where a person used to exist, and the feeling that the store is paying attention to you now. The idea of escape starts spreading again. It always does. When fear outweighs comfort, someone claims they found a door that feels different. Not like the others. Not like the fake exits that lead back into more aisles. This one has cold air leaking from under it. Real air. A group forms quietly. No announcements. No excitement. Hope here is dangerous when spoken aloud. You go with them. The walk takes longer than it should. Aisles bend slightly. Paths feel longer on the way there. Like the store is stretching space to slow you down. The door stands alone at the end of a narrow hallway, metal, scratched, simple. It looks real. People hesitate. The youngest goes first. They grab the handle and pull. The door opens. Outside is night, stars, wind. The smell hits you so hard it almost hurts. Dirt, trees, freedom. 3 people run through. The 4th steps forward and stops. They look back, confused. They say they forgot something. They turn around. The door slams shut behind them. The hallway is gone. The remaining group stands in an aisle they recognize. The store has moved you. The people who ran through never come back. You don't know if they escaped or if the store just removed them. After that, something changes. Some people stop fearing the workers. They start talking to them. You see it happen. A woman approaches one during the dim light cycle. She speaks calmly, respectfully. She asks what the store wants. The worker listens. It tilts its head. Then it hands her a folded blue shirt. She puts it on. The transformation isn't fast. It takes cycles. Her posture straightens. Her voice loses emotion. Her smile becomes fixed. Soon she doesn't recognize you. You begin to understand. The workers aren't born. They're promoted. The store doesn't punish everyone. It recruits. You feel the pull yourself. Life is easier when you stop resisting, when you follow patterns, when you stop thinking about outside. One night you catch yourself organizing items without being asked. Perfect rows, perfect angles. It feels right. That scares you more than any worker ever did. You try to leave the settlement alone. The aisles twist, repeat, fold back in on themselves. You walk for what feels like days and end up exactly where you started. The leader tells you gently that wandering is dangerous. They suggest you take a role, watch duty, organization. Teaching newcomers the rules, you realize the worst truth. The store doesn't lock you in. It convinces you to stay. You sleep less. You dream less. When you do dream, it's of shelves, not sky. A worker stands outside your sleeping area one night. It doesn't move. It just watches, waiting. You stop dreaming entirely. Sleep becomes a pause instead of rest. You lie down, close your eyes, and open them again without feeling time pass. The store likes this version of you. You've learned every sound it makes, the hum of lights, the distant scrape of carts, the footsteps that mean nothing and the footsteps that mean everything. You know when not to look. The worker outside your sleeping area begins showing up every cycle. It never moves closer. It never leaves. It just stands there like a reminder. One day it steps forward. It holds something in its hands, a folded blue shirt. You don't take it. Not yet. You try one last time to remember who you were. You sit alone between shelves and speak your own name out loud. It sounds wrong in your mouth. Like a word from another language. You try to picture your face. It comes out blurry. You walk deeper into the store than you ever have before. Past familiar aisles. Past settlements that feel abandoned but lived in. Past places where furniture is fused together unnaturally, as if the store stopped caring how things looked. The lights dim slowly, too slowly. Workers appear everywhere, not rushing, waiting. You reach a wide open space where the ceiling disappears into distance. Shelves rise like walls. The floor vibrates softly like the store is breathing. You understand then, this place isn't broken. It's complete. It doesn't exist to trap people. It exists to continue. It turns people into parts, thinkers into planners, fighters into enforcers, survivors into workers. A system that builds itself. The worker you've been seeing approaches. Up close, you see something familiar in its face. Your posture, your height. It holds the shirt out again. You think about escape, about doors, about sky. The ideas feel thin now, weak, unnecessary. You take the shirt, it fits perfectly. The change doesn't hurt. That's the worst part. Your thoughts line up neatly. Fear fades. Questions stop forming. The store makes sense now. You straighten a shelf without being told. It feels like purpose. Somewhere far away, a new person steps through a door they shouldn't have opened. The lights brighten. You turn and walk toward the sound, smiling. The settlement you stay in no longer feels temporary. Walls grow thicker. Paths get named. People stop talking about leaving and start talking about borders. You hear about other settlements now. Big ones. Ones that stretch across entire furniture zones. Cities built from stacked shelves and bolted frames. Some have laws, some have guards, some have punishments worse than the workers. You are sent as a runner. Messages need to travel between groups, and you're trusted because you move carefully. You don't rearrange things. You don't panic at night. You don't look at the workers longer than necessary. You walk for hours between settlements, sometimes days. You pass through areas that feel older. Furniture styles change, signs fade. You see places where people lived and died long ago, their shelters still standing, untouched. In one city, you see something new, a courtroom. People sit in rows made of dining chairs. A man stands accused of stealing batteries from a communal supply. The punishment is exile, not death. Worse, They send him out alone during the dim light cycle. No one watches him leave. In another settlement, children play. They run between aisles like this is normal. They don't flinch at footsteps. They don't remember outside. One of them asks you what sky means. You can't explain it in a way that makes sense. The workers behave differently in these larger cities. They walk the edges, observe, sometimes stop and watch arguments like they're studying behavior. One worker corrects a crooked barricade. No one stops it. No one says thank you either. You begin noticing something else. The store is repeating itself less. Layouts change. Aisles that once mirrored each other now differ. The store feels like it's learning from what people build. One night, during watch duty, you see lights flicker in patterns, not random, intentional, a signal. In the distance, you hear shouting, then silence. By morning, a nearby settlement is gone, not destroyed, removed. Where it once stood is a wide, empty showroom, perfectly arranged, no signs anyone ever lived there. People whisper that the store resets areas that don't fit, that it edits itself. You start to feel smaller, like a temporary idea. You deliver a message to a far city and are told to stay overnight. They have rules here that feel too strict. People walk in straight lines. Shelves are aligned perfectly. Everyone wears blue armbands, not uniforms. Not yet. You wake up in the night and see workers moving through the streets. Not taking anyone, teaching, correcting. You realize this city isn't resisting. It's cooperating. When you leave the next day, you don't look back. You feel the store watching you again, measuring, considering, and you understand something new. This place doesn't just want order. It wants evolution. You don't return to your old settlement. The paths feel wrong. Too straight, too clean. You recognize signs of correction. Shelves that were once bent are perfect now. Barricades you remember are gone. The store has been here recently. You follow noise instead. Voices, hammers, the sound of building. You find a settlement unlike any you've seen before. It stretches wide, not tall. Streets laid out in clean rows. Furniture sorted by purpose, not origin. Sleeping areas separated from work areas. Quiet zones enforced. They call it a zone, not a settlement. You're stopped at the edge. A man asks your name, your skills, how long you've been inside. You struggle with the last question. He notices they let you in anyway. Inside, people move with intent. No rushing. No wasted motion. They speak softly, but with certainty. Everyone wears a strip of blue cloth tied around one arm. You ask why? They say it helps the workers know who belongs. That answer stays with you. This zone has history. They show you records, written logs, names of the dead, names of the taken, names of the changed. They've been here a very long time. They believe escape is impossible, not because no exits exist, but because the store decides who is allowed to leave. At night, you attend a gathering, not a meeting, a lesson. An older woman explains how the store responds to behavior. She says chaos brings punishment. Order brings silence. She calls the workers' immune system. Someone asks what happens if the store finishes healing. No one answers. Later, you're shown a room with locked doors. People inside wear full blue uniforms. They're not workers yet. They're volunteers. They believe becoming part of the system is the only stable future. You leave the zone unsettled. As you walk, you notice something else. Signs pointing nowhere, arrows that lead back to themselves. You pass an exit sign. It flickers. Behind it is another aisle. That night, you dream again. You are standing in a showroom you recognize. A home layout, a fake kitchen, a fake life. You are not alone. Someone stands beside you, smiling the same fixed smile you've seen before. They say your name perfectly. You wake up shaking. The store is no longer just watching, it's rehearsing. You begin to avoid settlements, not because they're dangerous, but because they feel finished. Every place you pass has chosen a direction. Order or chaos. Cooperation or resistance. You don't feel ready to choose. So you walk. You travel through areas where the store feels unfinished. Furniture half assembled, displays missing pieces, instructions printed in languages you don't recognize. You find a group living quietly inside a massive warehouse section. They don't build walls, they don't mark territory. They move when the store feels restless. They call themselves drifters. They believe movement keeps the store from noticing. You stay with them for a while. Life with the drifters is simple. Sleep, walk. Collect what you can carry. Leave no trace. They never stay past 2 light cycles in one place. At night they tell stories. One man says he saw the ceiling open once. Not a hole, a shift, like the store folded upward and revealed darkness beyond structure. Another says workers sometimes stop moving and just stand there, as if waiting for instructions that never come. A woman claims she remembers the outside clearly. She can describe rainstorms in detail. You listen closely, afraid the memory will fade the moment she stops talking. One night, during a move, the store changes mid-walk. An aisle you just passed stretches longer behind you. Shelves rise higher. The lights dim unevenly, like breathing. Workers appear ahead. Too many. The drifters scatter without panic. They know this drill. You run, not blindly. You follow the sound of metal dragging. You dive into a half-built display and hold your breath. Through the gaps, you see workers pass. They stop. One turns its head slowly toward you. It tilts its head, confused. Another worker touches its arm. They move on. When it's safe, you find the drifters again. 2 are missing. No one asks questions. Later, you realize something unsettling. The workers didn't chase. They were herding, guiding movement, testing reactions. You ask the drifters if the store can think. They say thinking is the wrong word. They say it adjusts. That night you dream of maps, endless layouts, shifting, correcting, simplifying. You wake with a strong feeling. The store is narrowing possibilities, and eventually it will decide where you belong. You leave the drifters without saying goodbye, not because of fear, because you realize staying with them is another kind of choice. The store feels quieter as you move alone. Fewer distant sounds, less random noise, like it's listening more closely. You begin seeing signs of age, furniture styles you don't recognize, logos that feel outdated, instruction manuals that reference products no one uses anymore. The store has been expanding for a long time, longer than anyone trapped inside. You come across a place where the lights never fully brighten, a constant half-dim glow. Shadows stretch in wrong directions. People live here, but they're different. They don't react quickly. They don't seem afraid of the workers. Some don't look at them at all. One person explains this area is close to something important. They don't say, "What?" You notice the workers behave oddly here. They stop walking mid-step. They repeat movements. They correct the same shelf again and again, like a glitch. You hear whispers of a core, not a center, but a function. A place where the store decides changes. Some believe if you reach it, you can force an exit. Others believe you'll be erased. You see a man arguing with a worker, not yelling, negotiating. The worker listens, then gently places its hand on his shoulder. The man collapses without a sound. When the worker removes its hand, the man doesn't move. Not dead, empty. Later, his body is gone. That night, the lights flicker in long patterns. You hear furniture shifting far away, like tectonic movement. A new aisle forms where none existed before. The store is restructuring. You feel pressure behind your eyes, like a thought trying to form that isn't yours. For the first time, you consider wearing blue, not to join, just to blend. The thought scares you, but it also feels practical. You realize the store is no longer just reacting. It's preparing. You keep moving, days, weeks. You've stopped counting. The lights stay the same. The hum is constant. The store smells of varnish and dust. The paths are unfamiliar now. Aisles twist. Shelves stretch higher. Sometimes you see your own footprints only to realize you never walked there. You tell yourself it's exhaustion. You tell yourself the store plays tricks. Both are true. You come across a settlement built entirely from stacked display tables. People live in cubicles made from wardrobes. The ceilings are so low it feels suffocating, yet the workers do not disturb them. They move around carefully, adjusting furniture slightly, like a gardener tending a delicate plant. You notice the residents here do not sleep much, they whisper. Their eyes dart constantly, their hands fidget. One man tells you about those who vanish, not because of workers, but because of themselves. They forget the world outside. They stop thinking about it. They stop wanting it. Eventually they wear blue, or disappear. That night you hear a commotion, screaming, furniture breaking, the lights flicker violently. You run toward the noise. 2 settlements are fighting, or perhaps the store is fighting itself. People rush through narrow aisles, pushing carts like weapons. Workers appear, but they do not intervene immediately. They observe. They correct. They allow chaos to run just long enough to measure reactions. You hide behind a shelf. A worker passes. It tilts its head and stares at your eyes for a moment. You freeze. The air feels heavier. It leaves without touching you. The fight ends suddenly. People are gone. Furniture returns to neat order. The shelves look untouched. The floor is empty. You start to understand a terrifying pattern. The store does not need to punish. It only needs to teach. Over the next cycles, you notice changes in yourself. You find yourself straightening crooked displays. You place items where they belong without thinking. The order feels satisfying, safe, terrible. You try to resist. You leave an aisle intentionally messy. You place a chair where it doesn't fit. By morning, it is corrected, not by hands you see, but by the store itself. The arrangement is perfect. You are learning the most important lesson. Resistance is meaningless. The store is patient. It waits. It observes. It reshapes. That night, you dream again. A corridor stretches endlessly. Doors appear and vanish. Shadows move in unnatural ways. Voices whisper names you barely remember. One of them is yours. You wake, heart pounding, and you realize the store has begun rehearsing with you. You move cautiously through the deeper aisles. The ceilings stretch higher here, lights flicker more often, and the air feels colder. Dust floats in long shafts of light, and the silence between hums is almost unbearable. You come across another settlement. This one is massive. Streets of tables and shelves form corridors wide enough to run. People live in cubicle homes stacked 3 or 4 layers high. They wear blue strips on their arms like badges. They speak in quiet, measured tones, only when necessary. You notice how still the workers are. They move slowly, deliberately correcting crooked furniture. Sometimes they stop entirely and tilt their heads as if watching the settlement like a chessboard. A woman approaches you. She is older than anyone you've seen. Her hair is streaked with gray. She explains that some people here have lived for years without leaving their zones. Children grow up inside. Some have never seen the sky. Others forget what it smells like. She says the store doesn't just trap people, it changes them. You realize she is correct. You felt the pull yourself. The urge to organize, to straighten, to follow rules. Even when you fight it, part of your mind wants order. The night cycle begins. Lights dim. Shadows stretch unnaturally. You hear the familiar soft footfalls of the workers. You hide. You watch them move past. Their eyes never leave the settlements. They correct, they measure, they wait. You hear screaming from a distant aisle. A group of newcomers ignored a rule. You recognize the sound. The store doesn't kill, not always. It reshapes. They will not be the same when the workers finish with them. You continue moving, deeper, further than you've ever gone. The aisles twist and fold back on themselves. The furniture seems alive, rearranging when you're not looking. The store is learning, responding, adjusting. You stop in a wide, empty showroom. The walls stretch impossibly high. Ceiling lights are countless. You see no signs of life, yet you feel eyes everywhere. The store is vast here. Older, smarter, patient. You think about escape, about the world outside, the sky, the air. But the thought feels distant, weak. The store has already begun to make leaving seem irrelevant. You sit among the shelves and watch. Footsteps pass behind you. You do not turn. You know it is a worker. You know it is waiting. You do not fear it. Not yet. You wonder how long you've been moving through the store. Days? Weeks? Months? You cannot remember. Time here is meaningless. It folds, it stretches, it becomes what the store decides you need it to be. You realize something terrifying. The store is not just infinite, it is patient. It waits, it watches, it shapes. And eventually it will decide where you belong. You move into a part of the store you don't recognize. Aisles twist in impossible directions. Shelves rise like walls. The floor dips slightly, then rises again. You stumble, almost losing your balance, and realize gravity feels slightly off. Not strong enough to fall, but enough to make every step uncertain. The lights here are dimmer. They flicker irregularly. Shadows stretch long and strange. You feel watched, not just by workers, but by the space itself. You imagine the shelves adjusting their angles when you're not looking, aligning to your movements. You hear voices, far off, distant, but unmistakably human. Some shout, some whisper, some laugh. Then it stops. The silence that follows is heavier than the noise. You come across a small group living between stacked wardrobes and couches. They are quiet, their movements slow, their faces blank. You realize they've been here a long time, too long. A man sits at a makeshift desk. He sorts sheets of paper, maps, logs, records. You cannot tell. He doesn't look up. You ask how long he's been here. He does not answer. You ask again. His hand continues moving. You realize the question has no meaning here. Time does not belong to you in the store. You move on. Deeper. The aisles stretch endlessly. The furniture seems alive. Every time you glance at a corner, a chair or table has shifted slightly, as if testing your attention. The night cycle begins. Lights dim. Shadows grow. Workers appear, but they are different here. Not just walking. They move with intent, with purpose. They approach some of the long-term inhabitants, not to harm, but to inspect, to correct, to integrate. You understand now the store is actively shaping people to fit it. You hide. You do not move. But the air feels thicker, tighter. The workers pass, slow and precise. One stops, tilts its head. Its smile is wide. It looks directly at you, not leaving. You feel a pull, not physical, psychological. You know it measures your willingness to obey, to bend, to belong. You continue walking, alone, exhausted. Your mind fights against the compulsion to straighten, to fix, to follow rules. You succeed at first, but you catch yourself adjusting a crooked chair. You curse under your breath. The urge returns repeatedly. You see something new, a hallway of mirrors. Not ordinary mirrors. They reflect slightly wrong, distorted. Some reflections lag behind. Some move when you do not. Some show you wearing blue, smiling, straightening shelves, working, part of the system. You shiver. The store is showing you yourself, not as you are, but as you could become. You push forward. You reach a wide-open showroom, empty, vast, ceiling lost in distance. The lights are faint. You feel the presence of the store like a heartbeat beneath your feet. You hear nothing, yet you sense it everywhere. You realize something terrifying. You are not simply trapped. You are being prepared. You are being measured. You are being taught obedience. Resistance is not an option, not because it will kill you, but because it will erase who you were if you fail. And in that realization, you feel the first true weight of the store. It is patient, infinite, alive, and it is waiting. The architecture stops pretending to make sense. You walk through an aisle that bends upward slightly, like the floor is trying to become a wall. Shelves lean inward. Furniture hangs at angles that should fall but never does. The store no longer hides what it is. You pass a living room display where the couch is fused into the floor. Lamps grow out of tables like they were planted there. The smell is different here. Old dust, warm plastic, something faintly organic. You hear footsteps behind you, not workers. Human. You turn and see a group wearing full blue uniforms. Shirts tucked in, name tags clean and readable. They walk in a line, pushing carts filled with nothing. One of them looks at you. They smile. It's not fixed like the workers' smiles, it's worse. Familiar, they ask if you're lost. You don't answer. They tell you this area is under maintenance. They ask you to follow them back to a safer zone. Their voices are calm, helpful, kind. You realize they are not pretending. They believe this is safety. You refuse. Their smiles fade slightly. Not angry. Disappointed. They walk away, speaking softly about inefficiency and misplaced inventory. You move faster after that. You find people who have been here longer than anyone you've met before. They live deep inside half-constructed showrooms. They no longer build settlements. They no longer move unless forced. One woman tells you the store grows inward now. It no longer needs to expand outward. It has enough people, enough structure, enough behavior. She says the store is refining itself. You ask what that means. She says imperfections are being removed. That night, the lights dim unevenly. Some aisles stay bright, others fall into deep shadow. Workers appear in organized patterns, not wandering, searching. You hide behind a wall of stacked wardrobes. You hear voices nearby. Someone is being corrected, not punished, corrected. You hear calm instructions spoken in broken, almost words. You hear a human voice responding, slowly losing emotion. When it's over, footsteps retreat. You see the person afterward. They walk past you without recognizing you. Their posture is perfect. Their eyes are empty. You feel something inside you weaken. Your thoughts are slower now. The store feels easier when you don't fight it, when you move with its rhythm, when you let it guide you. You sit down without meaning to. The floor is warm. You almost don't get back up. A worker stands at the end of the aisle. It does not approach. It waits. You realize this is another test. Not of strength, of willingness. You stand, you walk away. The store hum deepens like a disappointed breath. You don't know how many tests you have left. You don't know how many times you can refuse. But you do know one thing. The store is no longer asking. It is preparing to decide. You move slowly through an aisle that feels endless. Shelves rise higher than before, leaning inward, forming narrow corridors. The lights flicker as if testing your attention. Shadows stretch and twist, sometimes behind you, sometimes ahead. You see signs of long-term, inhabitants everywhere. Small piles of belongings carefully arranged. Makeshift bedding tucked between wardrobes. Notes scribbled on cardboard taped to shelves. Names, dates, rules, reminders of who they used to be. You pass a group of people wearing blue strips on their arms. They move mechanically, straightening every crooked surface. They do not speak. Their eyes never meet yours. You realize they have been here too long. They are part of the system now. You try to remember your own name clearly. It slips through your mind like water. Faces from outside appear briefly, then fade. You catch yourself thinking about arranging the shelves. You shake your head. You resist. But the urge remains. A distant sound reaches you. Screaming. A chair crashing. Footsteps that do not belong to anyone nearby. You follow the noise, careful. The lights dim more as you approach. You find a man arguing with a worker. Not loudly. Calmly, he is pleading. His movements are slow and precise. The worker tilts its head and listens. Then it places a hand on his shoulder. The man collapses. Not dead, not moving. His eyes are open but empty. You step back. Others move past you silently, ignoring him. By morning, he is gone. The shelves where he stood are perfectly aligned. You realize that the store does not punish by destroying. It punishes by reshaping, removing resistance, erasing what does not fit. You continue walking. Hours, days. It no longer matters. You pass through showrooms that defy logic, kitchens stacked inside bedrooms, living rooms upside down, hallways that loop back on themselves. You hear whispers. Not workers, not people, something between. Advice, warnings, names you half remember. You feel the store is speaking through them, teaching without speaking. You stop at a mirrored wall. Your reflection lags slightly behind your movements. It smiles when you do not, straightens your posture, adjusts your clothes, shows you yourself wearing blue, working, organized, compliant. You turn away quickly. The urge to obey strengthens. The pull of order is seductive, easier, safe. Terrible. You walk on. The store hums around you. Every step feels measured. Every thought feels noticed. The building itself is alive, and it is learning, and you are part of the lesson. Time begins to lose all meaning. You walk, and the lights change without warning. Bright one moment, dim the next. Sometimes the ceiling seems to rise. Sometimes it leans closer. You stumble, but nothing falls. The furniture shifts subtly when you aren't looking. The store is aware, always aware. You pass people who no longer notice the world outside. They move like shadows, straightening, aligning, working without thought. You realize they have forgotten that they ever had a choice. Some were here only a few cycles ago. Others have been inside for years. You cannot tell. You hear laughter, soft, distant, human. You follow it. It leads you to a room where a group of people sits quietly in perfect rows. They wear full blue uniforms. Their eyes are empty. Their mouths move as if reciting a story, not aloud, not words you can understand. A worker moves between them. Its movements are slow, deliberate. It touches each person lightly on the shoulder. They straighten immediately. They do not resist. You watch and feel a chill. This is the next stage: compliance, integration, erasure. You try to keep moving, to distance yourself. But the store responds. Aisles stretch, hallways twist. Paths you walked moments ago have disappeared. You find yourself back in familiar territory, yet unfamiliar. A bed you slept on is now stacked atop wardrobes. A kitchen display is folded into a living room. Logic fails. You realize that being careful no longer matters. The store is shaping you through environment, through subtle pressure, through presence. Your mind strains to resist. You notice yourself straightening a chair without thinking, aligning a table, adjusting a display. Night arrives. The lights dim. Shadows grow unnaturally long. Workers appear everywhere, moving in patterns you have never seen. Some stop and watch. Some pause, tilt their heads, then continue. They do not touch. They do not speak. They are waiting. A voice whispers behind you. Not human, not fully. It calls your name perfectly. You spin around. Nothing is there. Only the shelves. Only shadows. Only the faint echo of footsteps that are not yours. You try to run. The aisles stretch. Your path curves back upon itself. The exit you swore you saw earlier is gone. You feel the pressure of the store tighten around you. The hum grows louder, like a heartbeat. You sit on the floor. Breathe. Try to remember who you were. Your past life feels like a dream, a memory someone else told you. Faces, names, smells, they fade. The pull of the store strengthens. The urge to obey, to straighten, to belong, grows heavier. You stand, slowly, deliberately. Every step echoes. You pass a mirrored wall. Your reflection lags. It smiles. It corrects your posture. It shows you in blue, working, organized, integrated. You look away. You feel the store thinking, waiting, preparing. And for the first time you wonder, how much longer before you stop fighting entirely? You enter a region where the store no longer pretends to be familiar. Aisles curve gently, like ribs. Shelves bend inward, forming tunnels instead of rows. Furniture is no longer placed. It grows. Tables fuse into walls. Chairs stack themselves into spirals that reach toward the ceiling. The lights pulse softly, not flickering. Breathing, you feel it in your chest, matching your heartbeat until you can't tell which one came first. You see people here who are barely recognizable as people. They move slowly, carefully, as if every step must be approved. Their eyes track invisible lines on the floor. Some whisper instructions to themselves. Others hum along with the lights. You try to speak to one. They flinch. They tell you not to interrupt the process. You ask what process? They look at you with pity. They say the store is almost done with them. You move on, shaken. You pass through a space that looks like a city intersection made entirely of shelves. Paths cross at odd angles. Signs point in every direction, all labeled with the same word. Home. You follow one sign. It leads to a small room, a perfect living room display. Couch, rug, lamp, everything neat. Everything still. You sit down without realizing you've done it. The couch is comfortable, too comfortable. For a moment you feel safe, calm. The noise of the store fades, the pressure lifts. You understand why people stop moving. Then you notice the name tag on the table. It has your name on it. You stand up fast. The room trembles slightly, like something didn't expect that. You leave before the lights can dim further. As you walk, workers appear at intersections, not blocking, guiding. Subtle shifts of posture that suggest which direction is correct. You ignore them. The store responds. The floor slopes gently downward. The ceiling lowers. Paths narrow. Movement becomes effort. You hear a voice again, not calling your name this time, explaining. It tells you the store cannot fail. It only adapts. People bring chaos. The store removes it. People bring change. The store absorbs it. It tells you resistance is wasteful. You stop walking. You feel tired beyond exhaustion. The kind that comes from thinking too much for too long. A worker steps closer. It holds nothing in its hands this time. It doesn't need to. You realize the store is not trying to scare you anymore. It is trying to convince you that you are already part of it, that you always were. You take a step back. The floor does not move. The store waits. You walk through a corridor that feels endless. The shelves lean slightly inward, their edges sharp but not dangerous. You feel a subtle pull toward alignment, toward order. The urge is growing. You pass a settlement tucked into a massive showroom. People move slowly, carefully, every step precise. They wear blue strips on their arms. Some carry furniture. Some arrange displays. Some just stand staring. You realize these are the long-term residents. They are no longer thinking about the outside world. They have accepted. You keep walking. The store reacts. Floors shift slightly underfoot. Ceilings bend. A wall appears where there was none before. A doorway disappears. The environment molds itself around you. A group of workers appears, moving together in perfect formation. They do not speak. They do not look at you. They simply pass, correcting crooked shelves, straightening tilted tables, removing anything out of place. You notice one worker pauses, tilts its head, and studies you for a long moment. You feel the weight of its gaze. You enter a wide, empty aisle. The lights are dim, but shadows stretch unnaturally. You feel watched, not just by workers, but by the building itself. Every shelf, every display seems alive, aware. You hear faint whispers, voices too soft to make sense of, but familiar. Names, instructions, warnings. You pass a mirror. Your reflection moves slightly behind your actual movements. It smiles before you do. Adjusts your posture. Straightens your clothes. Shows you a version of yourself wearing blue, working, obedient, calm. You turn away quickly. The urge to obey surges stronger. You feel fatigue, frustration, fear, all mixing into something heavier. The store is pressing down on you, shaping you through environment, through repetition, through pressure you cannot name. You continue moving. The corridors twist, floors slope, hallways bend back on themselves. Time feels fractured. You are unsure if you've been walking minutes, hours, or cycles you cannot count. You hear footsteps behind you, not workers. Human, someone new. They move cautiously, they whisper your name, you freeze, they stop. You see their blue strip. They are not fully converted, but close. Their eyes are empty, practiced. They move like you almost do. You walk faster. The store shifts again. Paths you just traveled have disappeared. Hallways fold. Ceilings rise. Shelves align perfectly. The store is testing you, measuring your reaction. A worker steps into the aisle ahead. It does not approach. It watches, patient, silent, waiting, and in that moment you realize the store is not just a building. It is alive. It thinks. It learns. It reshapes. It is not trying to trap you. It is trying to decide what you will become. You enter a region where the aisles stretch farther than you can see. The shelves lean inward so sharply it feels like they might crush you. The floor rises slightly, then dips. Your steps are unsteady, though nothing falls. There is no sound except your own breathing and the distant hum of lights. No workers appear, yet you feel watched. The store itself feels alive here, responding to your movements. You pass small rooms built into the shelves. People live there alone or in pairs. Some have been here so long that their speech is slow, broken, careful. They don't look at you. Their eyes are fixed, empty, trained to move only when necessary. You realize these are people fully integrated into the store. They are not afraid. They're not alive in the sense you understand life. You move deeper. Hallways fold into themselves. Corridors that were straight twist, intersect, disappear. You lose all sense of direction. You cannot tell which way leads back, if back even exists. Time becomes meaningless. You try to remember the world outside. Names, faces, sky, wind, rain. The memories are weak, like threads unraveling. You struggle to hold on to them. Each step, the pull toward order grows stronger. You feel it in your bones. You see someone in blue working at a display. Not a worker, not a resident. A human who has been reshaped. Straight posture, calm movements, eyes blank. They do not notice you. They are already part of the system. You hide. You watch. The urge to straighten a crooked shelf rises. You resist. You stumble, almost giving in. Footsteps approach behind you. A worker or someone transformed. You cannot tell. They do not speak. They only tilt their head and observe. You feel measured, analyzed, considered. You walk faster. The store shifts. Floors rise, ceilings fall, paths fold. A door appears ahead. You approach it, hoping it is real. The handle is cold. You pull. The door leads not outside, but into another aisle that mirrors the one you just left. You pause. Your heart pounds, your chest aches. You feel the weight of the store pressing down on you. You realize something terrifying. The store does not need to trap you physically. It only needs to convince you to belong, to obey, to become part of its system. Resistance is meaningless because it reshapes everything around you until you comply. You stop walking. You sit among the shelves. The air is thick. Shadows stretch unnaturally. The hum grows louder. Footsteps echo in patterns that are not random. The store is alive, watching, deciding. You understand now, your struggle is not against the building. It is against the part of yourself that wants to obey, the part that wants to rest, to straighten, to belong, and the store waits. You move deeper than ever before. The aisles are endless. Shelves rise like walls, bending inward, forming corridors that shift while you walk. Floors slope without warning. The ceiling stretches impossibly high. Light flickers unevenly, casting shadows that twist and stretch unnaturally. You see people here who are no longer human in any way you can recognize. They move slowly, precisely. Every gesture measured. Faces blank. Eyes empty. They straighten crooked displays, rearrange furniture, fold mattresses. They do not speak. They do not notice you. They are part of the system now. You walk past them, careful. The urge to organize, to obey, rises in your chest. You resist. For now, you find a small room tucked into a corner, a living room display, couch, rug, lamp, perfect. The table has your name written on a tag. You step back. The floor trembles faintly, as if aware of your hesitation. You continue. A worker appears in the aisle ahead. Not rushing, not aggressive. It simply tilts its head and watches. You feel the weight of its gaze. The air grows heavier. You feel your thoughts slowing, your resistance weakening. You enter an enormous open showroom. Shelves are stacked impossibly high, arranged in spirals. Furniture grows from the floor like living things. The lights pulse softly. The hum deepens like a heartbeat beneath the floor. You hear voices, not fully human, not fully workers. Names you almost remember, instructions, warnings, whispers that guide your steps. You feel measured, considered, tested. A figure steps from the shadows, a human but already reshaped. Posture straight, eyes empty, moves with calm precision. It speaks softly, tells you to follow. You do not move at first. The urge to obey rises stronger. You realize the truth. The store does not need to trap you. It only needs to prepare you, to integrate you, to make you part of its system. Resistance is futile because it will reshape everything around you until you comply. You walk. Slowly, deliberately. The floor rises, the ceiling lowers, aisles twist. The store adjusts to your steps. Every movement is anticipated, every thought measured. You see a worker ahead. It smiles. The smile is wide, knowing. It steps aside, letting you pass. You feel relief, but it is brief. You understand now there is no escape, only preparation. You stop. You sit among the shelves. Your thoughts are foggy. Your chest aches. The urge to straighten, to obey, to belong presses against you like weight. The store hums. The lights pulse. Shadows stretch. The air is thick. And you feel it clearly now. The store is alive, watching, waiting, deciding. You are not trapped. You are being chosen. You wake without knowing when you fell asleep. The floor beneath you is smooth and clean. Too clean. The shelves around you are perfectly aligned. You realize with quiet fear that while you rested, the store continued working on you. Your thoughts feel slower, softer. The sharp panic you once had is dull now, like a memory that belongs to someone else. You sit up and notice your hands. They are steady, calm. You did not wake in a rush. That frightens you more than any worker ever did. You stand and walk. The aisles open for you, not shifting away, not blocking you, guiding you. The path ahead feels intentional, as if chosen just for you. You pass people who were once like you. You recognize it in their eyes, in the way they hesitate for a fraction of a second before continuing their tasks. Some still whisper to themselves. Others hum softly, matching the rhythm of the store's low hum. You see a man carefully aligning chairs. He pauses when one is slightly crooked. His hands tremble until it is fixed. Then he exhales in relief. You feel that relief echo inside your own chest. You shake your head, trying to clear it. You force yourself to remember the outside. Sky, sun, rain, noise. Freedom. The images flicker weakly. The store's lighting replaces the sky. The hum replaces wind. Order replaces freedom. A worker approaches you slowly. It does not threaten. It does not chase. It simply stands near you, close enough that you can feel its presence. Its eyes are empty, but calm, patient. You realize something deeply wrong. The workers are not guards, they are results. The store does not punish resistance. It waits it out. You walk into a massive, open space. The shelves curve inward, forming a circle. In the center stands a mirror taller than any you've seen. The surface ripples slightly like water. You step closer. Your reflection stands straighter than you do. It looks healthier, calmer. It wears blue. Its eyes are empty but peaceful. It does not look trapped. It looks complete. You feel a pull toward the mirror. Not physical, emotional, mental. A promise of rest, of belonging, of no longer fighting the shape of the world. The hum grows louder. The lights pulse slowly. The store breathes. You understand now, this is the final stage, not force, not fear. Acceptance. You hesitate. A final thought surfaces, fragile but sharp. You remember choosing who you were, making mistakes, being disorganized, being human. The pull grows stronger. Your reflection smiles gently, as if encouraging you. You step back, just one step. The store reacts instantly. Shelves tighten, light dims, the hum deepens, pressure fills the air. Not anger, disappointment. The mirror ripples again. Your reflection waits. You are tired. So tired. And the store knows it. You keep walking. The aisles stretch endlessly. Shelves rise and twist. The hum grows deeper, vibrating in your chest. Your legs ache. Your mind strains, but you cannot stop. Not yet. You see people here who are completely integrated. They wear full blue. Posture perfect. Eyes empty, calm. They straighten shelves with quiet precision. Some move silently past you, almost like shadows. Others pause and look at you briefly. Not recognition, assessment, measurement. You pass a worker standing perfectly still in the middle of an aisle. Its head tilts slowly. You feel examined. You resist the urge to straighten a nearby chair. It grows stronger. You fight it. You feel your thoughts slowing under the weight of the building itself. Ahead is a wide, empty showroom. The ceiling is impossibly high. The shelves curve into impossible angles. A mirror stands in the center, taller than any you've seen. Rippling faintly, you approach. The reflection moves slightly behind you, straightening your posture, showing you in blue. Calm, complete. You step back. A human voice whispers behind you. Why do you fight what you already are? You spin. No one is there. Only shadows, only shelves, only the hum. The pull grows unbearable. You see the reflection again. It smiles gently. The floor beneath you hums. The air feels thicker, heavier. You want to scream. You try to run. The aisles twist, fold, stretch. Paths you just walked disappear. Nothing feels real. Nothing belongs to you anymore. You sit, exhausted. Your mind struggles to remember who you were outside. The sky, the wind, rain, freedom, all fades. A worker steps closer, calm, patient, not threatening, just waiting. You understand now. Resistance is meaningless. The store does not need to punish you. It waits, shapes, adjusts, until compliance is inevitable. You see your reflection one last time. It is not you, not fully, but it is what you could be. Calm, ordered, complete, safe. You feel your chest loosen. Thoughts slow. Fear fades. The urge to fight disappears. You are tired. So tired. And you understand, the store will always wait. Always prepare. Always reshape. You stand. Slowly, deliberately. You step toward the mirror. The air hums. The shelves shift. The lights pulse. You are ready. You step closer to the mirror. The reflection ripples again, showing yourself in blue, calm, complete, your posture straight, hands steady, eyes empty, peaceful. The hum grows louder. It fills the air, your chest, your mind. Not threatening, not angry, expectant, patient. You reach out, your hand trembles slightly. The mirror shows your fingers moving before your own, straightening, aligning, obeying. You stop. Your mind resists just for a moment, a last echo of who you were. Chaos, freedom, disorder. The reflection smiles softly, not mocking, encouraging, understanding. You feel the weight of the store pressing, guiding, teaching. Every fiber of your being wants to rest, to belong, to no longer struggle. You inhale slowly. You let go. The world shifts around you. The shelves align themselves perfectly. Aisles straighten. Light pulses evenly. Shadows retreat. The reflection merges with you. Your thoughts calm. Your chest lightens. The urge to fight disappears. You are no longer separate from the store. You look around. The people who were already integrated move like ghosts, yet alive, their tasks precise, ordered, calm. You step forward, move alongside them, adjust a crooked shelf, align a table, fold a mattress. It feels natural, safe, terrible. Complete. The hum softens, the lights settle. You notice the rhythm of the storm matching your heartbeat, matching your steps. You are a part of it now. No fear, no confusion, no resistance. Only movement, only order, only belonging. You glance at the mirror one last time. It is no longer a reflection. It is a window into yourself, into the system, into the store. You step back, turn, and walk through the endless aisles, performing the tasks that must be done. The store hums with satisfaction, and you know it will wait for the next one. The aisles stretch endlessly before you. You move among them now without hesitation. Each step is measured, each gesture precise. The hum of lights fills the space, the shelves are perfect, the displays aligned. You glance at others around you. People fully integrated, calm, silent, efficient. You realize they were once like you, confused, tired, desperate. Now they move as part of the system. They no longer think of leaving. They no longer remember the world outside. They belong. You straighten a crooked shelf, adjust a table, fold a mattress. Each action feels natural, easy. You no longer fight it. Resistance is gone. Only order remains. Sometimes you catch glimpses of your old self in the mirrors. Faint, distant memories flicker in the glass. Faces you remember, names, the sky, wind, rain, freedom, all slipping further away with every step. A worker passes, its eyes empty, its movements slow, deliberate, perfect. You do not fear it. It does not need to touch you. You understand now that it is not here to punish. It is here to guide, to maintain the system, to ensure order. You walk through endless aisles. Some stretch into vast open showrooms, some twist impossibly. But you know your place. You know the rhythm. The store has become part of you, and you part of it. Time no longer matters. Days, nights, cycles. You cannot tell. You move, adjust, observe, obey. It is enough. Safe, complete, terrible. You catch your reflection in a tall mirror. It smiles. Calm, empty, whole. You smile back. It is not fear you feel, not panic, not longing. Only presence. Belonging. The hum of the store grows steady, gentle, eternal. You hear faint whispers from aisles far away. People moving, learning, aligning, adjusting, integrating. You realize something simple. The store does not need to trap anyone. It only needs to wait, prepare, shape, reshape, and eventually, all who enter will become part of it. You walk forward, fold a blanket, straighten a chair, align a display. The hum continues. The shelves stretch, the lights pulse, the store breathes. And you move with it, and you are home. Story 2. I don't know how I got here. One moment I was moving through a familiar hallway, and the next I was somewhere else entirely. The walls are yellow, the lights buzzing incessantly above me. The carpet is damp, rough under my feet. I keep walking, turning corners, trying to find something recognizable. Everything looks almost normal, but wrong. Doors lead to other hallways that should not exist. Corners bend slightly. Sometimes I swear the ceiling dips when I glance away. I move cautiously. Every step echoes softly, swallowed quickly by the endless hum of fluorescent lights. There is a smell, old carpet, damp walls, something faintly metallic. It lingers in the air, clinging to me. At first I thought I was alone. I whispered my own name just to hear something human. The walls answered with silence. But then I noticed movement. Shadows, too quick to be my own, slipping along the edges of my vision. I turned my head. Nothing there. But I feel it. Watching. Waiting. I call them the hounds. I've never seen them clearly. Just shadows, glimpses, the occasional scrape on the floor. They are fast. Silent. Predatory. And always close enough that my skin pricks with awareness, even when my eyes see nothing. I start noting everything. Hallways, corners, doors, lights. Some corridors loop back on themselves. I take care not to run blindly, not to make noise. I've learned that movement draws attention. Quiet keeps me safer, at least temporarily. There is no sound except the hum of the lights, my breathing, the faint scrape of something moving far away. I do not know if the hounds are near or if my mind is playing tricks. Observation is all I have. Watching, noting, trying to understand the space. I pass a small room empty with a few overturned chairs, no explanation, no signs of what came before. I pause, study it. The air feels heavier here, thicker somehow. I step back and continue. I catch movement out of the corner of my eye again. Faster this time. I freeze. The shadow disappears, but the feeling remains. I am not alone. I am never alone. I keep moving, keeping my eyes on every corner, every flicker of light. The halls stretch endlessly, and I have no sense of direction. Every turn looks the same, but subtly wrong. The carpets wrinkle where they shouldn't. Walls lean ever so slightly. The hum of the lights changes, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, as if the building itself is breathing. The hounds are here. I feel them more than I see them. A faint scraping behind a corner. A shadow moving too fast to track. Sometimes I hear the soft thud of nails or claws on the floor, always just out of reach. I've learned not to run. Running draws attention. Silence is my only ally. Then I notice something else. A faceling. I first see it in a small storage room, standing perfectly still, human-shaped but featureless. No eyes, no mouth. Just skin where a face should be. It tilts its head when I tilt mine. I step back, heart hammering. It mirrors me. Every motion I make it copies. Slow, deliberate, exact. I don't know if it is testing me or mocking me. I don't dare speak. My voice would give me away. I retreat slowly, keeping it in my line of sight. The room stretches impossibly behind me. When I turn a corner, the faceling is gone. Not moved. Gone. As if it vanished. The crawlers appear next. Small, insect-like creatures that move in groups along the edges of the hallways. I see them out of the corner of my eye, skittering across walls or floors. They don't approach directly, but I notice subtle changes where they pass. Carpets wrinkle, shelves tilt, walls feel tighter. Even the smallest creatures have purpose here. Every movement shifts the environment slightly, making me second-guess my steps. I've begun to understand the pattern, or at least think I have, but the space resists certainty. The whisperers start next. I hear them first as fragments of my own thoughts repeated softly through the vents. My name, my fears, snippets of memories. They echo in empty rooms, leading me toward corners I would not otherwise enter. Sometimes I follow, sometimes I do not. Either way, they leave me uneasy. The space adapts to me. I've marked walls with chalk, left small notes, but they disappear. Paths I take once may not exist a minute later. Every observation becomes uncertain, and I have learned to expect it. I've come to understand a rule. The more you notice, the more they notice you. Hounds, facelings, crawlers, whisperers, they all respond to hesitation, confusion, and fear. Observation is survival, but it is not enough to make the space predictable. I stop at a hallway intersection, breathing heavily. The lights flicker. The humming grows louder. Shadows shift unnaturally. I hear movement behind me, fast, silent. I freeze. Nothing appears, yet the presence is undeniable. I take a slow step forward. My eyes dart across the walls. The hallway stretches. I am small in this space. Too small to matter, yet every choice is critical. I move on. I round a corner and pause. The hallway stretches impossibly far, flickering lights reflecting off the walls in uneven patterns. The air is thick, heavy, and carries a faint metallic scent. My footsteps feel loud against the damp carpet, echoing too far ahead and too far behind at the same time. I see them together for the first time. A hound appears in the distance, low to the ground, moving impossibly fast. Its shadow flickers along the wall as if it were multiple creatures at once. I hear its nails scrape the floor and freeze. I do not breathe. A faceling steps from a side room. Its blank face stares at me, perfectly mirroring the tilt of my head. I step back, but the hound moves closer, still just out of reach. The faceling follows in perfect imitation. My heart pounds in my chest. I try to keep calm. Every sound is amplified, every shadow suspicious. The crawlers are next. Small, black shapes skitter across the edges of the walls and floor. They move in synchronized groups, creating tiny distortions. The carpet wrinkles, shelves lean, and the floor seems slightly uneven where they pass. I stumble slightly, my balance momentarily thrown off. The space itself feels alive now, reacting to their presence. Then the whisperers. Faint voices echo from the walls, repeating fragments of my thoughts. My own fears, my own memories, spoken back to me in whispers that seem to come from every direction. Sometimes they call my name. Sometimes they speak warnings I cannot understand fully. I feel drawn to follow them, but I know better. Following leads only to disorientation, maybe worse. I take a step forward and realize the hallway has changed behind me. Walls that were straight are now bent. The ceiling dips, then rises again. Doors that were there vanish, replaced with walls. I am disoriented, and the hound notices. Its movements become sharper, quicker, closer. The faceling mirrors my every motion, the crawlers continue their subtle distortions, and the whisperers' voices overlap in a cacophony that makes my head spin. I'm being observed from every angle. I do not know which entity is closest, which threat is real, or which direction is safe. I force myself to keep moving. Slowly, carefully. I avoid running, avoid making sudden sounds. Every step is deliberate. I keep my eyes on the floor, on the corners, on the faint distortions that hint at movement. Observation is my only tool. I reach a junction. 4 hallways stretch out before me. I can hear faint scrapes, distant echoes, and whispering from all directions. The space waits. The entities wait. Every choice could be critical. I choose one hallway, moving with calculated caution, knowing that at any moment one of them could appear, could observe, could react. The space stretches further, bends impossibly, and the hum of the lights grows louder, deeper, like it is synchronized with my heartbeat. I realize with a sinking certainty that I am no longer just walking through these halls. I am being measured, tested, learned. I move on, every nerve alert, every sense strained, knowing this is just the beginning. I continue down the hallway, eyes scanning every corner, every flicker of light. The air feels heavier here, thick with a subtle vibration that sets my teeth on edge. The carpet beneath my feet seems damp, clinging slightly, making each step deliberate. The space has begun to twist in ways I cannot fully describe. Corners that were 90 degrees before now curve slightly. Doors appear where there were none. Hallways fold back on themselves. I stop and mark the walls with small scratches, just to reassure myself I've passed this way. But when I look back, the marks are gone, as if they never existed. I hear movement before I see it. The hounds are close. Their nails scrape the floor in short, precise bursts. Shadows flicker at the edge of my vision. I freeze, my chest tightening. One hound darts along a hallway behind me, vanishing as quickly as it appeared. I exhale slowly. A faceling steps into view, emerging from a side room. Its blank face is featureless, smooth, perfect. It tilts its head as I tilt mine, mirrors my slightest movements. I step aside, keeping my distance, and it follows without hesitation. There is a calmness in its movements, a patient mimicry that is more unsettling than aggression. The crawlers appear next, small black shapes skittering along the edges of the hallways. They move in synchronized patterns, and I notice subtle changes where they pass. Wrinkled carpets, walls that seem slightly closer, the air growing heavier in their wake. Their purpose is unclear, but their presence distorts everything around me, making me question my own perception. Then the whisperers begin. Their voices echo faintly from the vents, repeating fragments of my thoughts, my fears, my own name. I hear memories spoken back to me, things I haven't thought of in years. They call me forward, then stop abruptly, leaving me disoriented. I resist following, but the pull is unnerving, subtle, relentless. The space itself reacts to me. Hallways stretch when I glance away, floors tilt without warning, ceilings dip and rise unpredictably. I am acutely aware of every step, every sound. Every pause draws observation from the entities. Every hesitation is noticed. I round another corner and enter a large room. The ceiling is impossibly high, the walls bending outward, lights flickering in uneven pulses. Multiple facelings stand still in the distance, perfectly still, watching, mirroring. A hound moves just behind them, low to the ground, silent but lethal in presence. Crawlers move along the edges, creating subtle distortions in the floor. The whisperers' voices overlap, echoing inside my mind. I pause, heart racing. Observation is all I can do. Engage would be fatal. Every movement, every glance must be deliberate. I feel the space studying me, testing my reactions, recording my choices. I step carefully toward a narrow corridor that seems to lead somewhere, though where I cannot tell. The hound darts past, silent, gone. A faceling mirrors my step. The crawler's distortions ripple under my feet. The whispers fade to faint murmurs, guiding without instruction, warning without words. I keep walking. Each step is calculated, each choice deliberate. The space twists and bends around me. Entities move, observe, react, but do not attack outright. It is as if they are learning, and I am the lesson. I realize with sinking certainty that I am not just wandering these halls. I am being measured, tested, observed. Every pause, every misstep, every glance is noted. I move on, wary, exhausted, knowing that the back rooms are patient, and so are its inhabitants. I enter a corridor that seems normal at first, but the longer I walk, the more wrong it feels. The walls lean slightly inward, the carpet undulates, and the lights flicker unevenly. I pause, trying to mark where I am, but any scratches I make vanish as soon as I glance away. The hounds appear again. I do not see them fully, only glimpses, shadows darting along walls, claws scraping the floor too fast to track. Their presence sends a shiver down my spine. I remain silent, careful not to make any noise that could draw them closer. The corridor begins to loop. I recognize a door I passed moments ago, then another hallway that should have led me forward. I turn, only to find myself back where I started. The back rooms are shifting, bending, folding over themselves. I feel trapped, not by walls, but by the space itself. A faceling appears in front of me, stepping from a side room I swore was empty. Its blank face tilts slightly, mimicking the small tremor in my hand. I freeze, my chest tightening. It does not speak. It does not move aggressively. But the way it mirrors me makes it impossible to ignore. Crawlers move along the edges of the hallway, synchronized, subtle. Where they pass, the carpet wrinkles, the walls lean closer, the floor dips. It is not direct harm, but disorientation. I stumble slightly and force myself to regain balance. The crawler's movements make me question every step, every turn. The whisperers' voices rise. They echo faintly from vents, walls, and the ceiling. Fragments of my own thoughts are spoken back to me, my name. Fears, memories, directions I should not take. I resist the urge to follow. Every whisper is a trap. Every pause risks observation. The corridor folds again. I try to map it, but my markings are gone. I realize with growing dread that the back rooms themselves are learning, recording, adjusting. The space is alive, patient, waiting for me to slip. I glimpse movement at the far end. Multiple hounds moving together now, coordinated. Facelings appear along the walls, mirroring my posture. Crawlers cluster in patterns that distort my path. The whispers overlap into a chaotic hum that presses against my thoughts. I understand this is a test. The entities are not attacking, not yet. They are observing, learning, teaching. I must move carefully, deliberately, aware of every choice. Hesitation could be fatal. Panic is worse. I press forward slowly. The corridor stretches endlessly. Doors appear and vanish. Shadows flicker. Whispers call my name, fragment my thoughts. The hounds pause at a distance, watching. Facelings mirror my movements. Crawlers continue their subtle manipulations. Every instinct screams to run, to escape, but running draws attention. Observation is survival. Movement must be deliberate. I take one step, then another, counting each silently. I cannot allow fear to dictate my path. The corridor bends again, folding into itself. I realize I've been walking in a loop. There is no forward here, only measured steps and careful observation. I continue. Every step, every glance, every breath is noted. The backrooms are patient, and so are its inhabitants. The corridor finally opens, but the relief is brief. I step into a wide room where the ceiling hangs too low in some places and rises too high in others. The lights flicker in slow, uneven pulses, casting shadows that stretch and shrink without logic. The hum is louder here, pressing into my skull like pressure. I stop moving and listen. Silence never lasts long. The hounds are nearby. I can tell by the vibrations in the floor, faint but rhythmic. They are pacing, not rushing, coordinated, patient. Their shadows slide across the walls, disappearing whenever I turn my head. They are learning how I move. I spot a faceling standing near a cluster of shelves. It is closer than any I have seen before. Its blank face reflects nothing, yet I feel watched. When I shift my weight, it does the same. When I breathe slowly, it matches the rhythm. The mimicry feels deliberate now, practiced. Along the edges of the room, crawlers gather, more than before. They move in patterns that feel intentional, creating subtle slopes in the floor, slight bends in the walls. My sense of balance falters. I have to focus just to remain standing. The whisperers grow louder. Their voices overlap. Fragments of thoughts and memories pressed together into something almost coherent. They repeat my doubts, my exhaustion, my fear. They do not shout. They do not rush. They wait until I am still. I realize something then. The entities are not acting independently anymore. They are responding together. The hounds wait while the crawlers distort. The facelings mirror while the whisperers confuse. Each one fills a role. Each one pressures from a different angle. I move slowly toward a narrow corridor at the far end of the room. The path behind me changes. Walls close in slightly. The ceiling dips lower. I do not look back. Looking back invites hesitation. Halfway down the corridor, the lights dim suddenly. The hum drops to a low, uneven throb. I freeze. A hound darts across the hallway ahead of me, close enough that I hear its claws strike the floor. It vanishes around a corner that did not exist moments ago. My breathing quickens. I force it to slow. Panic is what they want. Panic breaks patterns. The corridor stretches longer than it should. Each step feels heavier. The whisperers murmur encouragement now, telling me to stop, to rest, to listen. Their voices are gentle, familiar. That frightens me more than threats ever could. I pass a doorway and glance inside. The room is empty except for scattered belongings. Shoes, a jacket, a notebook lying open on the floor. No sign of the person who owned them. The space has already reclaimed what remains. I move on. The realization settles in slowly, like a weight. This place is not chaotic. It is structured, adaptive, patient. Every entity, every hallway, every flicker of light is part of a system designed to observe, test, and wear you down. I keep walking, exhausted but alert, knowing that this pressure will only increase. The back rooms do not rush. They wait until you are ready to make a mistake, and they never stop watching. I move cautiously, step by step, through corridors that seem longer than memory allows. The air is heavy, damp, and smells faintly of mildew and rust. Every corner feels wrong, slightly off, but I can't stop moving. Hesitation here is dangerous. The loops are becoming obvious. I pass the same broken doorway twice in a row, though I swear I never turned back. Carpets wrinkle where they shouldn't. The walls bend subtly. The floor tilts in ways that make me second-guess each step. The back rooms are reshaping themselves around me while I am inside them. The hounds are closer now. I do not see them directly. Only glimpses, shadows flickering at the edge of my vision, claws scraping the floor in rapid bursts. I remain still when I hear them, controlling my breathing, keeping my hands tucked against my sides. A faceling appears across the corridor. Its blank face is smooth and featureless. It steps closer when I step forward, mirrors every movement I make. I freeze and it freezes. It tilts its head when I tilt mine. There is no malice in it, only patience, and that makes it more terrifying than the hounds. The crawlers swarm near the edges of the hall. Their small black bodies move in unison, creating subtle shifts in the carpet and walls. I notice a slight slope under my feet, and the wall seems to bend inward as they pass. They do not attack directly, but they manipulate the environment to confuse me. The whisperers are louder than ever. Their voices echo fragments of my thoughts, my fears, my regrets. I hear my own name whispered from multiple directions, sometimes several voices at once, overlapping until I can barely distinguish them from one another. I resist following them, but their pull is subtle, persistent, nearly irresistible. I round a corner and find a large open room. The ceiling dips low, the lights pulse unevenly, and shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls. Multiple facelings stand scattered throughout, blank faces tilting in unison as I move. Crawlers shift along the edges, creating invisible obstacles. Hounds appear just beyond sight lines, their movements sensed more than seen. The backrooms have become coordinated. Entities react to each other, to me, to my presence. The space itself is alive, patient, learning. Every pause, every misstep is recorded, every movement is anticipated. I continue through the room carefully, following a corridor that narrows suddenly. The walls feel closer together, the carpet uneven, the ceiling threatening to crush me. I sense the hounds ahead, waiting for me to falter. The facelings mirror me perfectly. The crawlers distort the path. The whisperers murmur suggestions. I walk faster, cautiously. My heartbeat echoes loudly in my ears. Each step is deliberate. I know the backrooms are patient. The entities are patient. They will not rush me, but they will test me until I make a mistake. And I realize with a sinking certainty that this is far from over. I move through the endless corridors, each step deliberate, every glance calculated. The walls stretch and twist in ways that make orientation impossible. Hallways I walked a minute ago loop back on themselves, doors vanish, and ceilings dip unexpectedly. The air is thick, heavy, pressing against my chest, making every breath an effort. The hounds are closer than ever. I do not see them clearly, only shadows at the edges of my vision, claws scraping softly against the floor. I sense them before I hear them. Their patience unnerves me more than aggression could. They are waiting for me to falter, to make a mistake. Facelings appear along the walls. They mirror my movements perfectly, tilting their heads as I tilt mine, stepping forward when I step, stopping when I pause. Their blank faces are featureless, yet their presence feels invasive. I avert my gaze, but I cannot escape their observation. The crawlers move along the edges, more numerous now. Their coordinated movements distort the environment subtly. Carpets wrinkle underfoot. Walls lean slightly. Small slopes form in the floor, throwing off my balance. Every movement feels like walking through a subtle trap. The whisperers' voices are everywhere. They echo fragments of my thoughts, my doubts, my fears, memories I thought were forgotten. Sometimes they repeat my own words back to me. Sometimes they suggest directions or actions. Their voices overlap, creating a disorienting hum in my head. I resist, but every whisper tempts me to follow, and I know the consequences could be deadly. I turn a corner and freeze. A figure stands at the end of the hallway. Not a faceling, not a hound, not a crawler, but a person. Their clothes are worn, their posture stiff. They look at me briefly before turning and moving down a side corridor. I hesitate, unsure if they are real or another trick of the space. I follow cautiously. The hallway twists and bends unnaturally. Doors appear and disappear. Shadows stretch along the walls. I can hear the faint echo of footsteps that are not mine. The backrooms shift subtly, responding to our movements. The other survivor stops occasionally, leaving small notes scratched into walls or scraps of paper. I read them cautiously, warnings, observations, fragments of a map. I take mental notes. They move like me, careful, deliberate, watching everything, recording everything. We pass a room where multiple facelings stand perfectly still, facing us as we move. Crawlers distort the edges of the room. Hounds circle in the shadows, barely glimpsed. The whisperers' voices rise in intensity, overlapping, confusing, guiding, warning. The other survivor glances at me briefly, eyes wide with exhaustion and fear. I nod slowly. Silence is safest here. Communication draws attention. Observation is survival. I realize that in this place the entities are not mindless, they are coordinated. The hounds, facelings, crawlers, and whisperers act in concert, reacting to my every choice. The space is patient, learning, waiting for mistakes. I continue onward. Every step, every glance, every breath must be measured. I cannot falter. I cannot panic. And yet, the weight of isolation presses down harder than ever before. I understand now, surviving here is not about escape. It is about endurance, observation, awareness, patience. The back rooms wait, always, and so do its entities. I walk cautiously, counting each step in my head to keep some sense of order. But the numbers become meaningless as the corridors twist and stretch in impossible ways. Doors appear where there were none. Hallways bend back onto themselves, and corners curve too sharply to be natural. The hounds are near. I feel the vibrations of their claws on the floor before I see them. Shadows flicker across walls, disappearing the moment I turn my head. They are patient hunters, waiting for me to falter. Every pause, every hesitation is noticed. Facelings appear in clusters along the walls. Their blank faces tilt in perfect mimicry as I move. I try not to meet them directly, but their presence presses against my awareness, making it impossible to ignore. I have learned to move slowly, deliberately, never sudden. Crawlers line the edges of the corridor, small black shapes moving in synchronized patterns. They create subtle distortions, carpets wrinkle, walls lean, floors dip slightly underfoot. The environment itself is becoming hostile, bending reality just enough to disorient me. The whisperers' voices overlap, layering my own thoughts with suggestions, warnings, fragments of memories. They echo from all directions, some behind walls, some above the ceiling. I do not trust them. Following their suggestions leads only to confusion and dead ends. I turn a corner and the hallway suddenly narrows. The walls press in, the ceiling dips, the carpet tilts. I stumble slightly and hear the faint scrape of claws behind me. The hound is closer. I freeze. Every instinct screams to run, but I know running would draw its attention. Observation is my only defense. I glimpse movement at the far end of the corridor. Another faceling, perfectly still, mirroring the tilt of my head. The crawlers shift along the edges, small distortions traveling ahead of me. The whisperers' voices rise in intensity, almost synchronizing with my heartbeat. The space itself feels alive now, responding to me, adapting to my movements. I realize that nothing here is random. Every detail, the walls, the floor, the lights, the entities, is deliberate. They are learning from me, studying me, waiting for a mistake. I round another corner into a wider hallway. The floor slopes slightly downward. The lights flicker unevenly. Shadows stretch along the walls unnaturally. Multiple hounds appear at once, their movements synchronized, stalking from different angles. Facelings mirror me across the hall. Crawlers distort the edges. Whisperers overlap in a chorus of confusion. I breathe carefully, step by step, and force myself to keep moving. I cannot falter. I cannot panic. Survival is not about confrontation here. It is about endurance, awareness, and observation. The corridors continue to twist, bend, and fold. The backrooms are patient. The entities are patient. And so must I be. The corridor stretches endlessly, and my sense of direction begins to falter. I try to remember landmarks, an uneven carpet, a flickering light, a dent in the wall, but the backrooms are patient. When I turn, the walls bend differently. Doors appear and vanish. I feel the space watching me, learning from every movement. The hounds are closer now. I hear the soft scrape of claws along the floor, too fast to track visually. Shadows dart at the edges of my vision, disappearing when I try to focus. I know they are stalking, studying, waiting for me to slip. Their patience is worse than aggression. Facelings appear along the corridor walls, standing silently, blank faces tilted toward me. They mirror my posture perfectly. I step carefully, deliberately, every movement measured. Their presence is invasive, pressing into my awareness without physically touching me. Crawlers move along the edges, more numerous than before. Their synchronized movement distorts the environment. Carpets wrinkle, walls lean subtly, floors tilt beneath my feet. Each distortion forces me to adjust constantly, straining my focus. The whisperers' voices grow louder, overlapping, echoing fragments of my own thoughts and fears. They whisper my name, memories and suggestions, sometimes in multiple directions at once. I do not trust them. Following would lead to danger. Still, their words creep into my mind, making each step heavier. I turn a corner, and the corridor narrows suddenly. The ceiling dips, pressing down as if to crush me. I stumble slightly, heart hammering. A hound emerges just beyond the bend, low to the ground, silent. I freeze. My hands grip the wall for balance. From the edges, crawlers move closer, distorting the floor underfoot. Facelings mirror my small movements precisely. The whispers reach a peak, layering my own thoughts with suggestions I do not trust. I force myself to move forward, slowly, carefully, step by step, each movement deliberate, each breath controlled. Panic is fatal here. Observation is survival. The hallway twists again, folding impossibly. The hounds shift positions, silently, coordinated. Facelings move in mirrored patterns. Crawlers shift the edges. The whisperers' voices press from every direction. The space itself seems alive, reacting to my presence, adjusting. I realize fully that this is no longer a random maze. The entities, the corridors, the shifting walls, they are part of a system, a patient, living system. It studies me, tests me, waits for me to falter. I continue walking, step by step, breath by breath. Observation is my only weapon, awareness my only shield. The backrooms are patient. So must I be. The corridors stretch endlessly, and I begin to notice small patterns. Carpets wrinkle in consistent ways. Corners bend with subtle repetition, and the flickering lights pulse almost rhythmically. I start to mark them mentally, memorizing small details to create a sense of control. The hounds are constant, their presence a low vibration in the floor. Shadows flicker just beyond sight, moving in ways I cannot track. They do not rush me. They wait, coiled, patient. Observation is key. I step lightly, deliberately, avoiding sudden movements. Facelings appear along the walls again. Blank faces, tilted in perfect mimicry. I have stopped reacting to them instinctively. Now I move around them, accounting for their mirrored motions. I realize they are teaching me something, though I do not yet understand what. Crawlers continue their subtle distortions. The carpet rises slightly under my feet. Walls lean in, ceilings dip. Every step requires adjustment, balance, awareness. I cannot relax. Every micro-movement is being observed. The whisperers' voices are constant now, layering my own thoughts, fears, and memories. I hear suggestions, faint instructions, half-formed warnings. They are insidious. I resist, but there are constant pressure on my mind, eroding focus and patience. I find a small alcove, slightly wider than the corridor. I pause, crouching, and observe the movements around me. A hound darts past the entrance, silent, gone in an instant. Facelings tilt their heads, mimicking my crouch. Crawlers skitter along the edges, creating subtle distortions in the floor. The whisperers murmur softly, coaxing me to move in a direction I do not trust. I begin noting small strategies. Move slowly, measure every step, maintain focus, watch the shadows, ignore whispers, anticipate the distortions. The backrooms respond to hesitation. The entities coordinate. Survival requires calm, patience, and constant observation. Time becomes meaningless. Hours, minutes, steps, they blur together. I realize I have been moving without knowing how long I've been here. The loops grow tighter. Hallways fold back on themselves more frequently. Doors appear and vanish. I see something new, a corner that should lead somewhere but instead seems to fold inward. I approach slowly. A faceling emerges, then another, mirroring my movements perfectly. The hounds linger at the edges, unseen but felt. Crawlers distort the floor beneath me. The whisperer's voices press into my mind. I step carefully. Each movement deliberate, step by step, breath by breath. Observation is survival. Awareness is my shield. Patience is my only weapon. The backrooms wait, the entities wait, and so must I. I move forward through corridors that twist unnaturally. The air is thick, damp, and smells faintly of mildew. Every step echoes too loudly or not at all, making it impossible to judge distance. The walls bend slightly, the carpet rises and dips, and the lights pulse in uneven rhythms. The hounds are near. I feel them in the floor, the subtle vibrations that signal movement I cannot see. Shadows flicker just beyond the corner of my vision. I force myself not to turn my head, because looking directly seems to draw attention. Facelings appear along the walls, blank faces, tilted, mirroring my posture, my movements. I have stopped being startled by them. I have learned to move carefully around them, accounting for their mimicry. They do not attack, yet their presence is oppressive, invasive. Crawlers skitter along the edges, small, black, coordinated. They distort the environment as they move, subtly changing the carpet, leaning walls, tilting floors. Every step requires adjustment. Balance is difficult. Awareness is constant. The whisperer's voices grow louder, overlapping. They speak fragments of my thoughts, fears, memories I haven't recalled in years. Their suggestions are faint but insistent, urging movement, hesitation, choices I do not trust. I resist, but the pressure builds. I reach a hallway that folds unnaturally. I pause. The space seems alive. The walls ripple when I move. The carpet shifts slightly beneath my feet. A hound darts across the corridor ahead, vanishing before I can see clearly. Facelings mirror me in multiple locations. Crawlers manipulate the edges. Whisperers murmur from every direction. I notice something unsettling. The space reacts to me. When I step carefully, the distortions lessen. When I hesitate, the walls seem to close in slightly. When I glance at a corner, it twists unexpectedly. The backrooms are not random. They are adaptive, learning, measuring, waiting. I round another bend and find a small room. The ceiling dips low, flickering lights create moving shadows. Facelings are stationed in the corners, blank faces tilting. Crawlers move along the edges, hounds linger at the threshold. The whisperer's voices layer into a disorienting hum. I pause, crouching, trying to catch my breath. Observation is everything, step by step, breath by breath. Every motion matters. I realize the truth. The entities do not attack recklessly. They coordinate. They respond to patterns, to hesitation, to fear. The space itself is alive, and I am being studied. I move on slowly, deliberately, aware of every detail, every flicker, every sound. Survival depends on patience, awareness, and observation. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And so must I. I step into a hallway that stretches farther than it should. The lights flicker unevenly, buzzing softly, almost rhythmically. The carpet undulates beneath my feet. Walls lean slightly, subtly, almost imperceptibly. I force myself to focus, counting steps, memorizing details, creating a fragile map in my mind. The hounds are closer now. I feel the vibrations of their claws along the floor. Shadows flicker at the edge of my vision, disappearing when I look directly. Their patience is terrifying. They do not rush, but I sense them observing every micro-movement, every hesitation. Facelings appear suddenly along the walls. Their blank, smooth faces tilt in perfect mimicry of my posture. I try not to acknowledge them directly, but their presence presses on my awareness like a weight. I move slowly, deliberately, careful not to provoke or startle. The crawlers skitter along the edges, small black shapes in constant motion. They distort the environment subtly, creating uneven carpets, leaning walls, slight dips in the floor. Every step feels like walking through a trap, requiring careful adjustment and constant attention. The whisperer's voices grow louder. overlapping in disorienting patterns. They echo fragments of my thoughts, memories, and fears. Sometimes they speak my name. Sometimes they whisper suggestions, half-truths, half-lies. Following them would be fatal. Ignoring them is exhausting. I turn a corner and the hallway folds unnaturally. I feel the space itself pressing against me, almost like it is alive. A hound darts ahead, low to the ground, vanishing before I can see it fully. Facelings mirror me from multiple angles. Crawlers distort the edges of the corridor. Whisperers whisper from all directions. Time becomes meaningless. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes into hours. I cannot track how long I've been walking, observing, surviving. Every corridor begins to look like the last, but subtle differences make it impossible to forget. I pause in a wider hallway. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls. A hound waits at a distance, still, patient. Facelings stand at intervals, blank faces tilting as I move. Crawlers distort the floor edges, manipulating the environment subtly. Whisperers hum a low chorus, pressing against my thoughts. I take deliberate steps, one at a time, step by step, breath by breath. Panic is the enemy. Observation is the only shield. Awareness is the only weapon. The backrooms are patient. The entities are patient. I have learned that in this place, survival is not about speed or strength. It is about endurance, perception, and control. I move on, cautious, alert, knowing that the corridors will continue to fold, the hounds will continue to stalk, the facelings will continue to mirror, the crawlers will continue to distort, and the whisperers will continue to press into my mind. And I have no choice but to keep moving. I step cautiously into another hallway, but it feels wrong immediately. The walls are closer than I remember, the ceiling dips unevenly, and the carpet rises underfoot as if the floor itself were shifting. I force myself to focus, counting steps, noting flickers in the lights, trying to hold on to some sense of order. The hounds are closer. I hear the soft scrape of claws on the floor before I see them. Shadows flicker at the edges of my vision, moving too fast to track. One darts across the corridor ahead, low to the ground, disappearing around a bend that wasn't there a moment ago. My chest tightens, my heartbeat quickens, but I force myself to remain still. Panic would be fatal. Facelings appear along the walls in multiple locations. Their smooth, blank faces tilt as I tilt my head. I move carefully, accounting for their mimicry. They do not attack, yet their presence presses on me, invasive and suffocating. Crawlers skitter along the edges of the corridor. There are more than before, moving in precise patterns. Carpets wrinkle where they pass. Walls lean subtly. Floors dip beneath my feet. Every step requires adjustment. Every micro-movement demands attention. The environment itself has become an active threat. The whisperers' voices rise in intensity. Fragments of my thoughts, fears, and memories echo from all directions. They whisper my name, urge me toward hallways that do not exist, suggest actions I know are traps. Ignoring them is exhausting, but I resist. I cannot afford to follow. I round a corner and the corridor narrows suddenly. The walls press in. The ceiling dips. I stumble slightly, and the scrape of claws behind me makes me freeze. The hound is waiting, patient, coiled like a predator. I take slow, deliberate steps, careful to make no noise, careful to keep observation my only tool. Facelings mirror me from multiple angles. Crawlers manipulate the edges, distorting the floor and walls. Whisperers murmur from every direction, overlapping into a disorienting hum. The space itself seems alive, responding to my presence, adjusting to my movements. I realize with sinking certainty that the backrooms are not random. The corridors, the entities, the shifts in the environment, they are all coordinated. Every hesitation, every misstep, every glance is observed. Every choice is measured. Step by step, I move forward. Breath by breath, I continue. Observation is survival. Awareness is my shield. Patience is my weapon. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And I have no choice but to keep moving. The corridors stretch endlessly, folding back on themselves in ways that defy logic. Every step feels heavier than the last. Carpets wrinkle beneath my feet, walls lean imperceptibly, and ceilings dip unexpectedly. I cannot trust my senses. The hounds are nearer than before. Their claws scrape the floor softly, just at the edge of hearing. Shadows flicker where the light bends, moving faster than I can track. One darts ahead, low to the ground, vanishing into a hallway that didn't exist a moment ago. I freeze, heartbeat pounding, forcing myself to remain calm. Panic is fatal here. Facelings appear along walls and doorways. Their blank, smooth faces tilt, perfectly mimicking my movements. I move slowly, calculating each step, aware of their mirrored actions. They do not attack, but their presence is suffocating, invasive, unrelenting. The crawlers are more numerous now, skittering along edges of walls and floors. Their synchronized movements create subtle distortions. Carpets wrinkle, floors tilt, walls lean. Each shift throws off my balance slightly, forcing me to adjust with precision. Every micro-movement is dangerous. The whisperers' voices rise in intensity, layering fragments of my thoughts and fears. They echo from every direction, my name, memories, half-formed suggestions, warnings I do not trust. Ignoring them strains my focus, but following would be far worse. I round a corner and find a small alcove. The space feels oppressive. The hounds wait just out of sight. Facelings are stationed in corners, perfectly still, mirroring every motion I make. Crawlers distort the edges of the alcove, and the whispers press from every angle. I realize the back rooms are no longer just a maze. The corridors, entities, and environmental distortions act in coordination. They measure my movements, my reactions, my pauses. Every choice is observed, every hesitation recorded. I take deliberate steps, counting each silently, forcing my breathing to slow. The space shifts subtly with each movement. The floor tilts slightly, walls bend, the carpet wrinkles underfoot. Observation is survival, awareness is my shield, patience is my weapon. Time blurs. Minutes stretch into hours. Hallways loop back on themselves, doors appear and vanish. Shadows flicker at the edge of perception. Facelings mirror me. Crawlers manipulate the edges. Whisperers echo my thoughts and fears. Hounds stalk silently, always patient. I walk on, step by step, breath by breath, knowing that survival is not about escaping. It is about enduring, observing, and maintaining control. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And I have no choice but to keep moving. I step into another corridor, and the sense of wrongness hits immediately. The walls lean, the carpet rises and dips, and the ceiling seems to shift subtly with every step. I force myself to focus, counting my footsteps, noting flickers in the lights, trying to anchor myself to something stable. The hounds are close. I feel their presence more than I see them, the faint vibration of claws scraping against the floor. Shadows dart at the edges of my vision, disappearing the instant I try to look directly. They are patient, stalking, coiling, waiting for me to falter. Facelings line the walls, blank faces tilting, mimicking my movements perfectly. I move deliberately, anticipating their mirrored motions, careful not to let fear dictate my steps. They do not attack, yet their silent presence presses against my awareness, a constant reminder that I am being observed. Crawlers scuttle along the edges, moving in synchronized patterns. Carpets wrinkle, floors tilt, walls lean subtly where they pass. Every movement requires adjustment, and I can feel my balance strained with each step. They manipulate the environment without touching me, a subtle but unnerving threat. The whisperers' voices are relentless. Echoes of my thoughts, my fears, and half-formed memories come from every direction. They suggest paths, whisper warnings, repeat my own words back to me. I ignore them, but their pressure gnaws at my focus, and the constant mental strain is exhausting. Around a corner, and the corridor bends unnaturally. The ceiling dips low, forcing me to crouch slightly. Shadows flicker along the walls, moving faster than I can track. A hound darts past, low to the ground, vanishing into a hallway that did not exist moments before. My chest tightens. Panic threatens, but I force calm. Observation is survival. The facelings mirror me from multiple angles. Crawlers distort the edges. Whisperers layer their voices into a disorienting hum. The space itself reacts, adjusting to my movements, learning from every hesitation, every glance. I realize with clarity that the backrooms are not random. The corridors, the entities, the environmental distortions, they are coordinated, adaptive. Every misstep, every pause, every glance is noted. The space tests me, measuring endurance, patience, and awareness. Step by step, breath by breath, I continue. Observation is my shield. Awareness is my weapon. Patience is my only ally. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And so must I. The corridor stretches endlessly, yet I feel like I've been here before. The walls lean slightly, the carpet wrinkles unpredictably, and the ceiling dips just enough to throw off my balance. I try to focus, counting steps, memorizing details, but the space seems to mock me. Every landmark shifts when I look away. The hounds are near. I hear the scrape of claws on the floor, soft but deliberate. Shadows flicker along walls, vanishing when I try to track them. They are patient hunters, waiting for any hesitation, any misstep. I keep moving slowly, forcing calm, step by step. Panic would be fatal. Facelings line the walls in unnatural positions. Blank, smooth faces tilt in perfect mimicry of my movements. I move carefully, aware of their mirrored actions. Their presence is oppressive, invasive, but I cannot look away entirely. Every glance must be calculated. Crawlers swarm along the edges, coordinated, skittering in patterns that subtly distort the environment. Carpets wrinkle, floors tilt, walls lean. Every step demands constant adjustment. One misstep and the distortions could throw me off balance entirely. The whisperers' voices are louder than ever. They echo my own thoughts, fears, and memories, layering them into a disorienting cacophony. Suggestions, half-truths, warnings, I ignore them, though resisting strains my focus. Following them would be deadly. I reach a corner where the hallway bends sharply. I pause, feeling the space press in. The hounds dart past in multiple directions, low to the ground, vanishing before I can see clearly. Facelings mirror my posture from every angle. Crawlers manipulate the edges. Whisperers murmur from all directions. The space seems alive now. Every movement I make triggers subtle reactions. The floor tilts slightly. Walls lean, the carpet wrinkles, lights flicker. The backrooms are observing, testing, learning. Each pause, each glance, each hesitation is noted. I press forward cautiously. Every step is deliberate. Every breath is measured. Observation is my shield. Awareness is my weapon. Patience is my only ally. Time becomes meaningless. Hallways loop endlessly. Doors vanish and appear unpredictably. Shadows flicker. Facelings mirror every move. Crawlers distort reality. Whisperers press into my mind. Hounds stalk silently, always patient. I walk on, knowing that the only way to survive is to endure, observe, and maintain control. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And I must keep moving. The corridors twist impossibly, bending back on themselves. I cannot trust my memory of where I've been. Doors appear where they never were, hallways loop back, corners curve unnaturally. The air is thick, damp and pressing against my chest. Every breath feels heavy. The hounds are relentless. I feel their presence in the vibrations of the floor. Shadows flicker at the edges of my vision, moving too quickly to follow. One darts past a bend that wasn't there moments ago. I force myself to remain calm, step by deliberate step. Panic would be fatal. Facelings line the walls, tilting their blank faces in perfect mimicry. I move slowly, accounting for their mirrored actions. They do not attack, yet their constant observation is suffocating. Every glance, every subtle movement is recorded. Crawlers swarm along the edges. Small, coordinated, distorting the environment. Carpets wrinkle, floors tilt, walls lean. Every step demands balance and attention. The distortions are subtle but enough to unnerve, to throw me slightly off rhythm, making each decision heavier. The whisperers' voices are unrelenting. Fragments of my thoughts, fears, and memories echo from every direction. They whisper my name, suggest paths, urge movement I know to be dangerous. Ignoring them is exhausting, but responding would be catastrophic. I reach a hallway that folds sharply. The walls bend inward, the carpet tilts, the ceiling dips. Hounds dart past, coordinated, low to the ground. Facelings mirror my movements from multiple angles. Crawlers distort the edges. Whisperers hum from everywhere, pressing into my mind. The space itself is alive. Every movement I make triggers changes, floors tilt, walls lean, carpets wrinkle. The backrooms observe, measure, adapt. Every pause, every hesitation, every glance is recorded. Time loses meaning. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes into hours. The corridors loop endlessly. Doors vanish, appear, disappear again. Shadows flicker unnaturally. Facelings continue to mirror. Crawlers distort reality. Whisperers echo my thoughts. Hounds stalk silently, always patient. The psychological strain is immense. I feel exhaustion pressing into my mind. Awareness is tiring. Observation is constant. Patience is the only thing keeping me alive. Step by step, breath by breath. Movement is survival. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And I must continue. The hallway stretches endlessly, but I know it is a lie. The walls lean, the floor tilts, the ceiling dips in impossible ways. Carpets wrinkle beneath my feet. Every step feels heavier than the last. Time has no meaning here, and memory is unreliable. The hounds are closer than ever. I hear the soft scrape of claws on the floor, quick and precise. Shadows flicker just beyond the edge of vision, disappearing when I try to look. One darts across a bend that wasn't there a moment ago. I freeze, forcing myself to remain calm. Panic is fatal. Facelings line the walls, their blank faces tilting in perfect mimicry. I move slowly, deliberately, accounting for their mirrored actions. Their presence is invasive, suffocating. I cannot ignore them, but I cannot let fear dictate my movements. Crawlers swarm the edges, moving in synchronized patterns. Carpets wrinkle, floors tilt, walls lean subtly. Every step requires adjustment. The distortions are small but constant, throwing off my rhythm, forcing me to focus on balance as much as direction. The whisperers' voices are everywhere. Fragments of my thoughts, fears, and memories echo from all directions. Suggestions, warnings, and my own words collide in a chaotic hum. I resist their pull, though it is exhausting. Following them would be deadly. I round a corner into a wider room. The ceiling dips low, shadows stretch unnaturally, lights flicker erratically. Multiple hounds stalk the edges, coordinated, silent. Facelings are stationed throughout, mirroring my slightest movements. Crawlers distort the floor and walls. Whisperers' voices overlap, pressing into my mind from all directions. I realize fully that the space, the entities, and the distortions are a coordinated system. Every hesitation, every glance, every step is measured. The backrooms are adaptive, alive, and patient. They study me, testing endurance, patience, and focus. The pressure is overwhelming. Every corridor twists impossibly. Loops become nearly impossible to track. The hound's movements grow bolder, yet still patient. Facelings mirror precisely. Crawlers distort subtly. Whisperers press endlessly. I continue forward, step by deliberate step, breath by controlled breath. Observation is survival. Awareness is my shield. Patience is my weapon. The mental strain is crushing, yet I cannot stop. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And I have no choice but to keep moving. The corridors stretch endlessly before me, twisting and folding in ways that make reality feel impossible. Walls lean, floors tilt, ceilings dip unexpectedly. Carpets wrinkle beneath my feet. Time has no meaning. Every step feels like hours. Every breath is a battle. The hounds are near, closer than ever. I feel the vibrations of their claws scraping the floor. Shadows flicker at the edge of my vision, moving faster than I can track. One darts across a bend that did not exist moments ago. I force myself to remain calm. Panic would be fatal. Facelings line the walls in multiple positions, their blank faces perfectly mimicking every movement. I move deliberately, carefully, aware of every tilt of my head, every step, every pause. Their silent observation is suffocating, pressing against me like a weight. Crawlers swarm the edges, coordinated, distorting the environment. Carpets wrinkle, floors tilt, walls lean. Every step requires constant adjustment. Every micro-movement must be precise. One mistake could throw everything off. The Whisperer's voices are relentless, echoing fragments of my thoughts, fears, and memories from every direction. Suggestions, warnings, commands, fragments of my own words. They overlap into a chaotic, pressing hum. Ignoring them is exhausting, but responding would be fatal. I reach a massive junction where multiple hallways converge. The distortions are extreme. Walls lean at impossible angles. Ceilings dip and rise. Carpets ripple unnaturally. Shadows stretch and flicker. The hounds move in coordinated patterns, stalking silently. Facelings mirror me from every angle. Crawlers manipulate edges, subtly changing the floor and walls. Whisperers' voices press endlessly from all directions. I pause briefly, crouching, measuring my next steps. I have learned survival here is patience, awareness, observation. Step by step, breath by breath. One movement at a time. The backrooms are alive, adaptive, patient. The entities are coordinated, precise, relentless. I move through the junction carefully, using every strategy I have learned. I note subtle patterns in the distortions, timing my steps to avoid the hounds, navigating around mirrored facelings, balancing across warped carpets, ignoring the Whisperer's pull. The corridors stretch onward. Time loses all meaning. The loops grow tighter. Shadows flicker unnaturally. Facelings continue to mirror my movements perfectly. Crawlers distort reality subtly. Whisperers press on my mind without pause. Hounds stalk silently, always patient. I have no choice but to keep moving. I continue forward, aware of every step, every breath, every movement. Observation is survival. Awareness is my shield. Patience is my weapon. Endurance is the only path to continuation. The backrooms wait. The entities wait. And I move, because stopping is death, step by step, breath by breath, forward, and I survive for now.